Harihi Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Mahaperiyava Sharanam. Shri Soundarya Lahari, explanation of verse 11. Chaturbhih Shri Kanthaihi Shiva Yuvatibhih Panchabhirapi Prabhinnabhih Shambhoho Navabhirapi Moola Prakritibhihi Chatushchatvarimshat Vasudala Kalashra Trivalaya Trirekabhis Sardham Tava Sharana Konaf Paritataha. The 11th shloka is a detailed description of Sri Chakra, Yantra Swarupam of Ambikai, also the place where she resides. Sri Chakra is also called as Sri Yantra. Any Ambal Puja is to be done only after installing the Sri Chakra. Every deity has a special Yantra. Devi of different aspects too are to be likewise. However, Meenakshi, Durga, Bhuvaneshwari, Sharada are worshipped with the Sri Chakra only. Lines, circles, squares and triangles formed by the lines are all parts of Sri Chakra. A yantra has a central bindu or a dot. Designs or diagrams like these have the capacity to grasp the power of the deities. These are indeed divine designs that readily repulse evil powers and attract divine ones. The middle portion of the Sri Chakra is a circle and there are 9 triangles. These cross one another forming 43 triangles. Including the central dot, bindu, it is said there are 44 triangles in total in Sri Chakra. The 44 triangles form 6 avaranas. The literal meaning of avarana is concealing or covering, similar to that of a prakara. Outside the 6 avaranas, there are 3 more avaranas, making a total of navavarnas or the 9 circles. Of the last 3 avaranas, there are circles with lotus petals. The 8 avaranas have an outer wall consisting of 3 compound walls. They are represented by 3 lines and not circles. And they are not circles but squares. Altogether, this design is of immeasurable divine power. Kanchi Mahaperiyava cautions that every line and every triangle in the yantra must be precise in the measurement. Just as a change in the sound of a mantra brings negative consequences, so too even a small error in the design of a yantra can lead to unhappy consequences. Even if the design is right, if Sri Yantra's central triangle points upwards instead of downwards, the result would be different from one's expectations. Another caution, which is very essential as quoted by Mahaperiyava, the ritual purity that must be strictly adhered to as laid down in Shastras. If the rules are not strictly adhered to, the results might be unhappy. Yantra is not a prati or a copy. It is a place where Ambal resides. It is Ambal herself. Adi Shankara Bhagavad Padal in 11th shloka does a detailed description of Sri Yantra. Let us look at the Padacheda and then the detailed explanation. Chaturbhihi Shri Kanthaihi Shiva Yuvati Bihi Panchabhihi Api Prabhinnabhihi Shambhoho Navabhihi api Moola Prakriti Bihi Chatushchatvarimshat Vasudala Kala Ashra Trivalaya Trirekhabhihi Sardham Tava Sharana Konaha Parinataha. Chaturbhihi Shri Kanthaihi Shiva Yuvati Bihi Panchabhihi api. Chaturbhihi Shri Kanthaihi, with the 4 Shiva chakras, Majja, Shukla, Prana, Jiva. Shiva Yuvati Bhihi Panchabihi Api. The 5 Shiva Yuvati Shakti Chakras: Twak, skin; Asrik, blood; Mamsam, muscle; Meda, brain; Asthi, bone. These 5 constitute the 5 Shakti Chakras. The 4 Shiva Chakras: Chaturbhihi Shrikantaihi. Shiva Yuvati Bihi Panchabihi Api. The 5 Shakti Chakras. Prabhinna Bihi Shambhoho Navabhihi Api. Prabhinna Bihi, apart from, separate from; Shambhoho, the Shiva Chakras; Navabhihi Api, with 9; Moola Prakriti Bihi, the 9 source materials of the universe: Prithvi, Appu, Teyu, Vayu, Akasha; Maya, Shuddha Vidya, Maheshwara, Sadashiva. Prabhinna Bihi Shambhoho Navabhihi Api, separate from the Shiva Chakras and with the 9 source materials of the universe. The Shiva and the Shakti Chakras together constitute the source materials of the universe. In line 3, Chatushchatvarimshat Vasudala Kala Ashra Trivalaya. Chatushchatvarimshat, 44. We will see how the number 44 is arrived at. Vasudala, Vasus indicate the 8 Vasus corresponding to number 8. The next pattern has 8 lotus petals, the 8-petaled. Kala Ashra, the number 16 relates to Kala. So the 16-edged lotus. Trivalaya, 3 circles. The 8 petals followed by the 16 petals and 3 circles. Trirekhabhihi Sardham, along with 3 lines. Sardham is with Trirekha, 3 lines. Tava Sharana Konaha, the angles of your abode. Parinataha, come to a close. They are completed. The angles of Ambal's abode come to a close with 44, consisting of 4 Shiva Chakras, 5 Shakti Chakras, separate from the Shiva Chakras and hence the 9 source materials of the universe, along with the 8 petals, 16 petals, 3 circles and 3 lines. Counting the central Bindu or the Sthanam of Ambikai, this makes 44. With the 4 chakras of Lord Shiva, the 5 different chakras of Shakti, which are the real basis of the world, along with the house of 4 parts, the 8 and the 16 petals, 3 circles, 3 lines, making a total of 44 angles. That includes the center dot, the Bindu. Chaturbhihi Shrikantaihi Shiva Yuvati Bihi Panchabihi Api. With the 4 Shiva Chakras, the 5 Shakti Chakras, Prabhinna Bihi Shambhoho Navabhihi Api, separate from the Shiva Chakras with the 9 source materials of the universe. Chatushchatvarimshat Vasudala Kala Ashra Trivalaya. A total of 44 that consists of 8 petals, 16 petals, 3 circles. Trirekhabhihi Sardham Tava Sharana Konaha Parinataha. And with the 3 lines, the angles of Ambikai's abode come to a close. The corresponding namas from Lalita Sahasranamam: Trikonantara Deepika, she who is like a light in a triangle. Chakraraja Niketana, she who lives in the middle of Sri Chakra. Trikonaga, she who resides at the vertices of a triangle. Sri Chakraraja Nilaya. She who resides in Sri Chakra. This shloka can be chanted for Vamsha Vriddhi, to obtain a child. Thus concludes the explanation of verse 11 of Soundarya Lahari. Sarvam Krishnarpanamastu. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Mahaperiyava Sharanam. Jai Jai Shankara. Hara Hara Shankara. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Mahaperiyava Sharanam. Shri Soundarya Lahari. Explanation of verse 12. Twadiyam Soundaryam Tuhina Giri Kanye Tulayitum Kavindrah Kalpante Kathamapi Virinchi Prabhritayaha Yada Lokautsukhyat Amara Lalana Yanti Manasa Tapobhir Dushprapamapi Girisha Sayujya Padavim. In verse 11, Adi Shankarar described in detail Sri Chakram, the yantra representation of Shakti, a form of Shakti herself. He described Sri Chakram with 4 Shiva chakras, 5 Shakti chakras, separate from the Shiva chakras, the 9 source materials of the universe, along with the 8 petals, 16 petals, 3 circles and 3 lines, forming a total of 44 angles or tattvas. Ambika's abode comes to a close. Now that he has explained Sri Chakram in detail, Adi Shankarar tries to describe Ambika's Soundaryam in Rupa Varnanai. He makes an attempt to describe in detail Ambal's Soundaryam. Soundaryam means beauty. Was he able to describe Ambal's Soundaryam in detail? A Soundaryam that every bhakta would like to visualize and cherish, visualize and praise, visualize and internalize. Let us look at the Padacheda of the shloka and get into detailed explanation to see how Adi Shankarar has described Ambal's Soundaryam, beauty. Twadiyam Soundaryam Tuhina Giri Kanye Tulayitum Kavindraha Kalpante Katham Api Virinchi Prabhritayaha Yat Aloka Autsukyat Amara Lalanaha Yanti Manasa Tapobhihi Dushprapam Api Girisha Sayujya Padavim. Twadiyam Soundaryam Tuhina Giri Kanye Tulayitum. Twadiyam Soundaryam, your beauty. Soundaryam means beauty. Twadiyam, he is addressing Ma Shakti here directly, saying your beauty. How does he address her? Tuhina Giri Kanye Tulayitum. Tuhina, snow, Giri, mountain, Kanye, O daughter of the snowy mountain. Himalayas personified as Himavan. He is referring to Ambikai as daughter of Himavan. Tulayitum, in order to compare. Whenever we describe something's beauty, it is normal to use a standard of comparison. Tula means comparison. Something that is equivalent to. Similar to Tula Bharam, where on one scale we have a weight and on the other we have the item for which the weight is to be determined. Similarly, O the daughter of snowy mountain, Ambike, I would like to compare your beauty with something. And before he does so, he thinks about other poets who have tried to describe her. Were they successful? Let us see. Kavindraha kalpante katham api virinchi prabhritayaha. Kavindraha, the best of poets. Kavinam indraha, and similar poets, the greatest of the poets, kalpante, using their imagination, katham api, somehow or other manage to, virinchi prabhritayaha, right from Brahmadeva. Virinchi, Brahmadeva, we encountered this word in verse 1 and 2, denoting the Lord of creation, Lord Brahma. Similarly, kathamapi, vahatyena shaurihi kathamapi sahasrena shirasam. Ambal's minute dust in her feet is used by Brahmadeva to create the worlds. Mahavishnu, Shauri, somehow manages to carry the dust on his 1,000 heads. The same katham api is used here as well to indicate somehow they manage to. And then there is a pause that is given there. Just like when one would say, I did make an attempt to go to the temple to see the Deeparadhanai. And if we make a pause there, it is understood that the attempt was unsuccessful. This is an example given by Kanchi Mahaperiyava in Devathin Kural. So he says, if someone makes the statement, I did make an attempt to do something, and takes a pause, it would mean the attempt was unsuccessful. The effort was not fruitified. Similarly, we should read the second line with a slight pause. Virinchi prabhritayaha kavindraha katham api kalpante. Right from Brahmadeva, the greatest poet, who is said to be the greatest because he has goddess Saraswati, the goddess of speech, the goddess of knowledge, the goddess of all skills and arts as his consort. Saraswati is very much Brahma's Shakti. So having her by his side always, Brahma is considered to be the greatest poet. So Adi Shankara calls out the list starting from Brahmadeva. Brahma and the best of poets somehow managed to, or did not manage to, describe your exquisite beauty. The same beauty which other bhaktas, other women also like to look at and enjoy. The third line goes, Yat aloka autsukyat amara lalanaha yanti manasa. Yet, that beauty, aloka, to see. In fact, the English word look came from the Sanskritam root aloka, look. Autsukyat, out of ardent desire. By whom? Amara lalanaha. Amara indicates devas, the celestial women, the most beautiful Ramba, Urvashi, Menaka, Tilottama. Even they always desire to look at Ambal's Soundaryam, Ambal's beauty. And they are able to attain this only through their mind. Yanti Manasa. They don't have an opportunity to completely see or look at Ambal's Soundaryam. So the imagination runs wild and they attained Ambal's Soundarya vision only through their mind. But they do have one option that they would like to explore. Tapo bihi dushprapam api girisha sayujya padavim. Sayujya padavim, the position of absorption into Girisha, the Lord of mountains, indicating Lord Shiva. For Ambal, he uses the beautiful Nama Girikanye, Tuhina Girikanye, the daughter of snowy mountains. And correspondingly for Lord Shiva, he says Girisha, which is Lord of mountains, indicating Lord Shiva. Only through the position of absorption into Lord Shiva, which is difficult to attain even by tapas or penance. Tapo bihi dushprapam api. not very easily attainable even through penance, that Sayujya Padavi into Girisha. However, the celestial women would like to attain the Sayujya Padavi, the position of absorption or the unification into Lord Shiva, which is difficult to attain even through extreme determined penance. However, if they get that Sayujya Padavi, they have an opportunity to enjoy Ambal's beauty, Ambal's Soundaryam. Why is that so? Shiva is the only person who enjoys Ambal's Soundaryam in full form. She is a devoted wife, a pativrata, who has completely dedicated herself only to her consort Kameshwara. To others, she might give just a glimpse of herself, but not the entire beauty. To devotees, she might completely give compassion. On the other hand, to those who get a glance of Ambikai, can see her beautiful eyes or her slight smile or the lotus feet or just her face, even the greatest devotee has an opportunity or the bhagya to look at Ambal's Purna Soundaryam or complete beauty. No poet whatsoever is able to describe the greatness of Ambikai's beauty. Even Brahma, the primordial poet, failed. So did the greatest of the poets who attempted to describe Ambal's beauty. Why is that so? Because no one has seen Ambal's profile of physical form in completeness. Ambal shows the entirety of her beauty only to her consort Parameshwara. She assumed the lovely form of Tripura Sundari only because she wanted to unite with Parameshwara and become engaged to him in the sport of the world. The great Pativrata dedicated herself entirely to Kameshwara. Even the celestial damsels like Ramba, Urvashi, Menaka, Tilottama are eager to actually witness Ambal's physical beauty and charm. They realize that it would be possible only with Shiva Sayujyam or union with Shiva. They reconcile themselves to witness Ambal's beauty or Soundaryam only through their mind. Twadiyam Soundaryam Tuhinagiri Kanye Tulayitum. O the daughter of snowy mountain, I am attempting to compare your beauty. However, Kavindraha Kalpante Katham Api Virinchi Prabhritayaha. Lord Brahma and the best of the poets somehow managed to compare and describe your beauty. However, they were not completely successful, which is understood here. Yet aloka autsukyat amara lalanaha yanti manasa. The celestial women, out of ardent desire to see your beauty, attain this only through their mind by imagination. Tapo bihi dushprapam api girisha sayujya padavim. They think of attaining Sayujya Padavi, the position of absorption into Lord Shiva, which is difficult to obtain even by extreme penance. O the daughter of snowy mountain, even the Creator, who leads an array of great poets, fail to describe your sublime beauty. The pretty heavenly damsels, with a wish to see your pristine loveliness, try to see you through the eyes of Lord Shiva. Union with Shiva is difficult to attain even by extreme penance. Therefore, they settle to enjoy your beauty by imagination through their mind. The equivalent namas from Lalita Sahasranamam: Mahalavanya Shevadihi. She who has the storehouse of supreme beauty. Maha Tripura Sundari. She who is the most beautiful of the three great cities. Shrimat Tripura Sundari. The beautiful goddess who is the consort of Lord of Tripura. Anakalita sadrishya chibugashri virajita. She who has a beautiful chin which cannot be compared with anything. Nistula. She who does not have anything to be compared to. Kamesha jnata saubhagya mardavoru dvayanvita. She who has pretty and tender thighs known only to her consort Kameshwara. This shloka can be chanted to attain Lord Shiva. It can also be chanted to make a dumb man speak, to be skilled in writing poetry. Thus concludes the explanation of verse 12 of Soundarya Lahari. Sarvam Krishnarpanamastu. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Mahaperiyava Sharanam. Jai Jai Shankara. Har Har Shankara. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Mahaperiyava Sharanam. Shri Soundarya Lahari. Explanation of verse 13. Naram Varshiyamsam Nayana Virasam Narmasu Jadam Tava Panga Loke Patita Manudhavanti Shatashaha Galad Veni Bandhaha Kucha Kalasha Visrasta Sichaya Hathat Trutyat Kanchyaha Vigalita Dukula Yuvatayah. Verse 11 describes Ambal's Sri Chakram. The angles of Ambal's abode, Sri Chakram, come to a close with 44 tattvas consisting of 4 Shiva chakras, 5 Shakti chakras, and separate from the Shambhu Shiva chakras, 9 source materials of the universe, along with the 8-petaled lotus, 16-edged lotus, 3 circles and 3 lines. Having described Ambal's Sri Chakram, Adi Shankara Bhagavad Padar attempts to describe Ambal's beauty, Soundarya. However, he feels he cannot do justice to that attempt. Even great people, including Brahma, who had attempted to describe Ambal's beauty, Soundarya, were not completely successful in that attempt. O daughter of the snowy mountain, the best of poets such as Brahma and others made an attempt to describe your beauty by somehow comparing with something. However, they were not successful in their attempt. Out of ardent desire to see your beauty, celestial women make an attempt to obtain the position of absorption into Shiva, Shiva Sayujyam, which is difficult to obtain even by extreme penance. Therefore, these celestial women settle to obtain Shiva Sayujyam and experience your beauty only through their mind. The 13th shloka describes the greatness of Ambal's Kataksham, the slight glance from the corner of her eye. Similar to the 6th shloka, where Manmatha, being a weakest person with weak weapons, weak ally, weak chariot, wages a war and turns out to be victorious only through Ambal's Karuna Kataksham, compassion through the glance from the corner of her eye. Similarly, another person who is also weak in a different aspect gets Ambal's Paripurna Anugraham, complete blessings, through the slight glance from the corner of her eye. Let us look into the Padacheda and then detailed explanation. Naram Varshiyamsam Nayana Virasam Narmasu Jadam Tava Apanga Aloke Patitam Anudhavanti Shatashaha Galat Veni Bandhaha Kucha Kalasha Visrasta Sichaya Hathat Trutyat Kanchyaha Vigalita Dukulaha Yuvatayah. Naram Varshiyamsam Nayana Virasam Narmasu Jadam. Naram, a man. Varshiyamsam, somebody who is very old. Nayana Virasam Narmasu Jadam. Being old, he is not very pleasant to look at. Somebody with not too much beauty. Narmasu Jadam. Not very skilled in handling women and art of love. Naram Varshiyamsam Nayana Virasam Narmasu Jadam. A very old man who is unpleasant to our eyes, who is not very skilled in handling women and art of love. Kama Kalai. Tava Apanga Aloke Patitam Anudhavanti. Tava Apanga, the corner of your eye, indicating Ambal's glance from the corner of her eye. Aloke, within the range of sight, the kataksham from the corner of your eye. Patitam, which falls. Anudhavanti shatashaha. He is pursued. Dhavanti means run. Anudhavanti, followed or pursued. Shatashaha, by how many? Hundreds of people. What kind of people is described in the later lines. A man who is very old, unpleasant to look at, is not very skilled in handling women and the art of love. When Ambal's kataksha, the range of sight from the corner of her eye, falls on him, is pursued by hundreds of people. Galat Veni Bandhaha Kucha Kalasha Visrasta Sichaya. When Ambal's kataksham falls on that person, he is pursued by hundreds of people. This line describes the status or the situation those 100 people are in. Galat Veni Bandhaha, with braided hair completely loosened, not tied up. When they are pursuing him, the braided hair gets loosened up. Kucha Kalasha Visrasta Sichaya, the cloth that is covering the frontal part of the body, resembling a pitcher or a pot, describing a shapely bosom of a woman. That piece of cloth also slips away. Hatat Trutyat Kanchyaha Vigalita Dukulaha Yuvatayaha. Yuvatayaha, indicating young women. The people who are following him are young women. And in what state are they in? Their braided hair is completely loosened up. The cloth covering the frontal portion of their body, the bosom, slips away. And Hatat Trutyat Kanchyaha Vigalita Dukulaha. Hatat, suddenly. Trutyat Kanchyaha, the waist ornaments, Kanchi, indicating Udhyanam, that also snapping or slipping away. Vigalita Dukulaha. Dukulam means silk. The silk garments also dropping down. Yuvatayaha Anudhavanti, the young women pursue him. In general, a woman likes a man who is young, who is pleasant to look at, beautiful and handsome, who understands her psychology, is able to handle her well, and also is skilled at the art of love. However, this person has no such quality. In spite of that, hundreds of women pursue him, simply due to Ambal's Karuna Kataksham, her simple glance falling from the corner of her eye on the Bhakta. Naram Varshiyamsam Nayana Virasam Narmasu Jadam, a very old man who is not pleasant to look at, who is not skilled at handling women, and who does not have any skill related to art of love. Tava apanga aloke patitam anudhavanti shatashaha. When the range of sight from the corner of your eye falls on that man, he is pursued by hundreds. Galat beni bandhaha kucha kalasha visrasta sichaya. With braided hair completely loosened, with the cloth covering the pitcher like bosom slipping away, hathat truptyat kanchyaha vigalita dukulaha yuvatayaha. Young women are chasing him, following him, with the waist ornaments too suddenly snapping away and silk garments dropping down. When we try to understand the shloka at the surface level, it looks like this is a shloka one would chant to attract women. However, there is a deeper meaning to the shloka. The young women here indicate Upanishads, personified as Upanishad Stris. When a bhakta gets a simple glance of Ambar's Kataksha, he is able to realize Parabrahmam. He becomes Parabrahmam himself. Upanishads personified as young woman who has attained the state of Parabrahmam. The young woman can also be considered to be personifications of fame, wealth, speech, intellect, firmness, and patience. When a man falls within the range of sight of the corner of your eye, though he is very old, unpleasant to eye, and not skilled in handling women, not knowing the art of love, young women pursue him by the hundreds, with their braided hair loosened up, with cloth slipping from the shapely bosom, with waist ornaments snapping suddenly, and silk garments dropping down. If we were to look at the corresponding nama from Lalita Sahasranamam, not only ordinary bhaktas are longing for Ambar's Kataksha. Kataksha Kinkari Bhuta Kamala Koti Sevita. She who is attended by crores of Lakshmis who earn for her simple glance. Such is the power and greatness of Ambar's Kataksham. This shloka can be chanted to obtain something that we desire for, but even more so, as per the inner meaning, to get Ambar's Kataksham, her simple glance that is capable of providing Paripurna Anugraham. Thus concludes the explanation of verse 13 of Soundarya Lahari. Sarvam Krishnarpanamastu, Harihi Om Tatsat, Mahaperiyava Sharanam, Jai Jai Shankara, Har Har Shankara. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Mahaperiyava Sharanam. Shri Soundarya Lahari, explanation of verse 14. Kshitau Shat Panchashat Dvisamadhika Panchashadudake Hutashe Dvashashtihi Chaturadhika Panchashadanile Divi Dvishatrimshat Manasicha Chatushashtiritiye Mayukhas Tesham Apyupari Tava Padam Bhujayugam. Verse 11 describes Ambar's Sri Chakram. The angles of Ambar's abode, Sri Chakram, come to a close with 44 tattvas. Having described Ambar's Sri Chakram, Adi Shankara Bhagavad Padar attempts to describe Ambar's beauty, Soundaryam. However, he feels he cannot do justice to that attempt. Even great people, including Brahma, who had attempted to describe Ambar's beauty, Soundaryam, were not completely successful in that attempt. Shloka 13 describes the power of Ambar's Kataksham, the simple glance from the corner of her eye. When a man falls within the range of sight of that corner of Ambar's eye, though being very old, unpleasant to look at, and not skilled in handling women and art of love, young women pursue him by hundreds, with braided hair loosened, with cloth slipping from the shapely bosom, with waist ornaments snapping suddenly, and with silk garments dropping down. The 14th shloka describes the tattva, race of Ambal, as related to the chakras in the body. A similar kind of comparison with elements and chakra was done in shloka number 9. Mahi Moola Dhare Kamapi Manipure Hutavaham Sthitam Swadishthane Hridi Maruta Makasha Mupari Manopi Bhru Madhye Sakalamapi Bhitva Kulapatham Sahasrare Padme Saharahasi Patya Viharase. The earth element in Mooladhara, the water element in Manipura, the fire element present in Swadhisthana, the air element in the Anahata Chakra, and the space element in Vishuddhi Chakra, along with the mind element in Ajna Chakra, having passed through the Kulapatha or Sushumna Nadi, in the 1,000-petal lotus, Ambal resides in secrecy along with her consort Sadashiva. A similar kind of comparison or relation is described in this shloka. Here the comparison or the connection is between the race relating to the 6 seasons and the chakra or the elements. If we sum total the number of rays listed for each of the season, we would get a total of 360, which is approximately the number of days in a year. The 6 seasons are Vasanta, Grishma, Varsha, Sharat, Hemanta and Shishira. The corresponding chakras Mooladhara, Manipuraka, Swadhisthana, Anahata, Vishuddhi, Ajna. The numbers relating to these are given in detail in this shloka. Let us look at the Padachedam and then detailed explanation. Kshitau Shat Panchashat Dvisa Madhika Panchashat Udake Hutashe Dvashashtihi Chaturadhika Panchashat Anile Divi Dvihi Shattrimshat Manasi Cha Chatuhu Shashti Iti Ye Mayukhaha Tesham Api Upari Tava Pada Ambuja Yugam. Kshitau Shat Panchashat Dvisa Madhika Panchashat Udake. Kshitau, in the earth element relating to Mooladhara Chakra, Shat Panchashat. Panchashat means 50. Shat Panchashat, 6 over 50, indicating 56. In the earth element comprising of 56 rays or 56 days. Dvisa Madhika Panchashat Udake. Udake in the water element Manipura. Dvisa Madhika Panchashat. Panchashat again means 50. Dvisa Madhika, 2 over 50, which is 52. 52 rays in Manipura Chakra. 56 in Mooladhara, the earth element. 52 in Manipura, the water element. The second line goes, Hutashe Dvashashtihi Chaturadhika Panchashat Anile. Hutashe in the fire element, Swadhisthana. Dvashashtihi. Shashtihi is a number we are familiar with, 60. Dvashashtihi, 62. Chaturadhika Panchashat. Panchashat, 50. Chaturadhika, 4 over 50, which is 54. Anile. Anilam is air element, Anahata Chakra. So the fire element in Swadhisthana consisting of 62. The air element in Anahata Chakra consisting of 54. 56 relating to earth, Mooladhara. 52 relating to water, Manipura. 62 relating to fire in Swadhisthana. 54 relating to air element in Anahata. Continuing, Divi, Dvihi Shat Trimshat, Manasi Cha Chatuhu Shashti Itiye. Divi, in the space element of Vishuddhi Chakra. Dvihi Shat Trimshat. Trimshat is 30. Shat Trimshat 36. Dvihi twice 36, which is 72. 72 in the mind element of Ajna Chakra. Space element in Vishuddhi Chakra consisting of 72, and in the mind element Ajna Chakra Chatuhu Shashtihi 64. Itiye. Mayukhaha tesham api upari tava pada ambuja yugam. Mayukhaha. These rays that are thus disposed, even above those, even above all those that have been mentioned, tava pada ambuja yugam, reside your pair of lotus feet, indicating the Sahasrara Chakram where Ambal's lotus feet reside. Ambal's pair of lotus feet are even above those rays that are disposed. 56 in earth, 52 in water, 62 in fire, 54 in air, twice 36, which is 72 in space, 64 in mind, totaling up to 360, indicating the number of days in a year, and all these directly relating to the seasons of the year. The season of Vasanta relating to 56, Grishma 52, Varsha 62, Sharat 54, Hemanta 72, Shishira 64. This shloka indicates that Ambal compresses herself into time, but actually it is the other way round. Different seasons remain as her personification, but the truth is she is beyond time, as the state in which she is beyond time. She is in Sahasradala Padmam, higher than the 6 chakras, and her lotus feet shine there. To summarize, the Mooladhara of Ambal's physique imbibes 56 of the sparkling rays from the Prithvi. Manipura attracts the radiant 52 Mahakiranas from the essence of water. The Swadhisthana chakra absorbs 60 luminous rays from Tejas or Agni. The Anahata chakra soaks up 54 brilliant rays from Vayu. The Vishuddhi chakra intakes 72 rays from Akasha, while Ajna chakra magnetizes 64 powerful rays from Manas or mind. But Ambal's lotus feet is beyond all these chakras, and these beautiful feet shine in Sahasradala Padmam, the Sahasrara chakra. Kshitau Shat Panchashat Dvisamadhika Panchashat Udake. 56 in earth, 52 in water, Hutashe Dvashashtihi Chaturadhika Panchashat Anile. 62 in fire, 54 in air, Divi Dvihi Shat-trimshat Manasi Cha Chatuhu Shashti Iti Ye. Twice 36, which is 72 in space, 64 in mind. Mayukhaha tesham api upari tava pada ambuja yugam. These rays that are thus disposed, even above those, even above all those that have been mentioned reside your pair of lotus feet, indicating the Sahasrara Chakram where Ambal's lotus feet reside, totaling up to 360, indicating the number of days in a year, and all these directly relating to the seasons of the year. The corresponding namas from Lalita Sahasranamam. Tattvadika, she who is above all metaphysics. Tattvamayi, she who is metaphysics. She who is the personification of this and that. Shat Chakropari Samsthita, she who resides above the 6 chakras. This shloka can be chanted to protect us from famine, dacoity and epidemic. Thus concludes the explanation of verse 14 of Soundarya Lahari. Sarvam Krishnarpanamastu. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Mahaperiyava Sharanam. Jai Jai Shankara. Hara Hara Shankara. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Mahaperiyava Sharanam. Shri Soundarya Lahari. Explanation of verse 15. Sharad Jyotsna Shuddham Shashi Yuta Jata Juta Makutam Vara Trasa Trana Sphatika Ghatika Pustaka Karam Sakrinna Tva Natva Kathamiva Satam Sannidadhate Madhu Kshira Draksha Madhuri Madhurinaha Phanitayaha. Verse 11 describes Ambal's Sri Chakram. In verse 12, Adi Shankara Bhagavad Padar attempts to describe Ambikai's Soundaryam, beauty, and then takes a pause, saying, even great people like Brahma and other great poets have failed in this attempt. In Shloka 13, an old man, not very handsome to look at, not skilled in handling women, not knowing the art of love, just by the glance of Ambikai from the corner of her eye, hundreds of young women follow him, oblivious to the state they are in. Shloka 14 describes the relationship between the chakras, the race and the seasons. 56 in the earth element, denoting Mooladharam, Vasanta Ritu. 52 in the water element, denoting Manipurakam, Grishmakalam. 62 the fire element in Swadhishthanam, Varsha Ritu. 54 in air element, Anahata Chakram, Sharat Ritu. 72 in Vishuddhi Chakra, Hemanta Ritu, the space element, and 64 in Agnya Chakra, Shishira Ritu, the mind element. Ambal's pair of lotus feet are even above all these rays that are thus disposed. Shloka number 15 describes a different Swarupam of Ambikai. In fact, it is a contradiction to the Swarupam that Adi Shankara has described in one of the earlier shlokas. What is very significant here and what is Adi Shankara trying to depict? Let us look into the Padacheda and then detailed explanation. Sharat Jyotsna Shuddham Shashi Yuta Jata Juta Makutam. Sharat Jyotsna. Sharat, autumn season. Jyotsna, the moonlight. Shuddham, the one who is pure. Shashi Yuta, having the crescent moon. Jata Juta Makutam, who has a stone-studded tiara crown on the mass of the twisted hair. The first line describes the dazzling beauty of Ambal and the ornaments that enhance her beauty. Sharat Jyotsna Shuddham, shining like the autumnal moonlight, which is pure. Shashi Yuta Jata Juta Makutam, endowed with the crescent moon. as a crown on the mass of twisted hair. Vara trasa trana sphatika ghatika pustaka karam. The first line describes Ambal's beauty and the ornaments. The second line describes what Ambal has or how her gestures are in her hands. Compared to the earlier shloka where Adi Shankara Bhagavad Padal said, unlike the other Devata Ganas, you are one neither with Abhaya Hasta or Varada Mudra. On contrary, in this shloka he says she has Vara Trasa Trana, the gesticulate hand that grants the boon, Varadaha. Trasa Trana, the other hand that protects us from fear, Abhaya Hasta. Spatika Ghatika Pustaka Karam, the third hand having crystal beads, the Spatika Mani, and the fourth holding a book. Through this, we can guess what form of Ambal Adi Shankara is describing here. It is the Adi Saraswati Rupam, the goddess of knowledge. Sakrit na tva natva katham iva satam sanni dadhate. Sakrit, just once, na tva natva, the beauty of the words that have been used here. Having bowed to you, having prayed to you, worshipped you. Katham iva, how is it? Satam sanni dadhate, present for good people. What is present is described in the last line. In fact, to understand the entire meaning, we should learn the third and the fourth line together. Madhu, Kshira, Draksha, Madhuri, Madhurinaha, Bhanitayaha. Madhu, honey, Kshira, milk, Draksha, grapes, Madhuri, Madhurinaha, charged with sweetness over Madhu, Kshira and Draksha. Bhanitayaha are the words. How will a person or bhakta who prays to this form of Ambikai not obtain or not have words that are charged with sweetness like honey, milk and grape? The shloka indicates that this person is definitely bound to get Ambal's Anugraham, blessing, and through her Adi Saraswati Rupam, which is described here, he obtains the skill of reciting words that are filled with sweetness like honey, milk and grapes. Ambal is indeed akin to Sharat Purnima moon. She is the symbol of internal as well as external cleanliness. She is adorned with stone-studded crown. She is the Pustaka Dharini, the icon of Jnana, knowledge, and Vijnana, wisdom. Her hands postulate Varamudra, granting boons, and Abhaya Hasta, ushering shelter and protection. Ambal is conceived as Vagdevi without Veena here. Vagdevi means Adi Saraswati. Lakshmi is the sister of Brahma and Saraswati is the sister of Paramashiva. Brother and sister definitely have a resemblance. Like Paramashiva, Saraswati is also white complexioned. How can sweetest words rivaling honey, milk and grapes not come to the thoughts of a devotee who meditates on you just once? Ambal's complexion is like that of white autumn moon. She has the crescent moon on her head and a stone-studded crown. Her hands shower boons, give protection and hold the pure crystal mala chain as well as a book. Sharat Jyotsna Shuddha Shashiyuta Jata Juta Makutam. Ambal, who shines like the autumnal moonlight, who is pure, is endowed with crescent moon on her head and also has a crown on her jatamudi, the twisted hair, which is stone studded. Bara, Trasa, Trana, Sphatika, Ghatika, Pustaka, Karam. One hand indicates a gesture of granting boon, the other protection from fear, the third holding a mala of crystal beads, and the fourth holding a book. The Rupam similar to that of Adi Saraswati. From the three gunas of Adi Shakti, Adi Lakshmi, Adi Saraswati and Mahakali were created. Sakrit na tva natva katham iva satam sannidadhate madhu kshira draksha madhuri madhurinaha phanitayaha. Having bowed to you, saluted you, worshipped you once, how is it not possible for a bhakta obtain the skill of having sweet words that excel over honey, milk and grapes? These two lines are in the form of a question and a reiteration that definitely when one salutes or worships Ambigai in this Swarupam, he or she is bound to be skilled in vak of speech. From the shloka, we can understand that all the feminine Swarupams, Lakshmi, Saraswati and Kali, are nothing but Lalita Tripura Sundari. The equivalent namas from Lalita Sahasranamam: Saraswati, she who is the goddess of knowledge, Saraswati. Sharat Chandra Nibhanana, she who has the face like moon in autumn season. Akshamaladhidhara, she who holds the Akshamala. Vagadishwari, she who is the goddess of words. Sharada Radhya, she who is worshipped during Navaratri celebrated in the autumn season. Vagvadini, she who uses words with great effect in arguments. Vidya Vidya Swarupini, she who is the form of knowledge as well as ignorance. This shloka can be chanted to obtain scholarly skills, to obtain the ability to write poems. Thus concludes the explanation of verse 15. Sarvam Krishnarpanamastu. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Mahaperiyava Sharanam. Jai Jai Shankara. Har Har Shankara.